Hello everyone. Today we are live again, and today on our panel we have Ishita, Yash, obviously me, and Carlos is rejoining us today. And before this live stream, Carlos showed me the most excitement, more than Abhinav, more than Sanjay, and even Yash. So, without having any further delay, let's start. Let's go to Ishita. Ishita.
Hey, hi, Harsh and Carlos and Yash. Thank you so much for having me here. Um,
Yes.
how do we take this ahead? I'm here to talk about the
Yeah, all
application.
right.
Okay.
So the very simple way to take this forward, it's going to be, we will keep it like 1 hour long. Okay. And if something happens like, most of like 11:15 or something, and what we are going to do is just the topic. Going to talk about the topic. And as you are the guest speaker, you're going to have the most of the time explaining it. So the topic is navigating your startup journey, and some of the things like you can talk about is the most important laws or things that need to be taken care of, so that the empire goes and the foundation will be the strong in terms of legal perspectives. So starting from this, let's start from your journey. Share about your journey, and so that in that way the audience will get a good understanding, where you're coming from and what is it looks like in your world.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Yash, for the briefing. So, I'm really happy to meet so many people today, and I am delighted to share my journey. So, I'm a corporate lawyer. I am a product of National Law University, Visakhapatnam. Then I went to I did my BLLB honors from there. I'm a graduate of 2018 batch. Then for 3 years, I was working in a boutique law firm. I was practicing arbitration and a typical litigation work there. Most of you are maybe techies here in the live, or maybe from other backgrounds who might not know these things. But yeah, uh, I started practicing in Delhi, and later on, I just realized the sooner I start my own practice, that's the better. Like that's something which all of us want to achieve. Mostly the practitioners or people who are professionals like doctors, lawyers, company secretaries, chartered accountants. Their goal in their life is to set up their own practice, right? So many times it happens in our profession that they say you get credibility based on your experience and the number of years that you've spent in the profession, but I say it's a scam. I'm calling it a scam because those people who stay for the longer years do not ever retire as a professional. Okay? You will never see a 60-year-old lawyer retiring from the profession and giving a chance to others, or an 80-year-old doctor saying no more to practice so that others can thrive. So it's a scam run by maybe the senior professionals, but I encourage all my young students and the young professionals to join the profession as soon as possible. Get a hold, get a grip on not just the professional part of thing, but actually the marketing and the business development part of the things, also the things that you've not been taught in your law school. Okay, those are the vital skills that will help you build your business, sustain your business, and be a the bigger professional that you want to be. So having said that, I want to, yeah. So in 2021, I resigned from my workplace and I started freelancing. And that's when I got an opportunity to work with a US-based law firm. It's called Robert Peterson and Fields Associate. It was based out of California. I worked with them for 1 year, and that's when they sponsored me for a Harvard X course to study IPR in Harvard University. It was a 3 months course. Unfortunately, my visa could not kick off, so I couldn't go to the campus. But I was attending classes online at that time, and it was also COVID, so definitely visa was not going to happen. So I missed a very golden opportunity to visit the campus of the Harvard University. That is there one of the biggest regrets of my life. Then 2021 ends, 2022, I set up my own practice. I start my practice with setting up the law firm. It's called Fathom Legal now. And Fathom Legal is a full service law firm, and we help startups, SMEs, and enterprises to incorporate their business. We help them understand what kind of an entity would be helpful for them. We also help them with agreements, contracts, and policies. We also help them with deal structuring. We help them with IPR, patents, and copyrights. That's where I got to connect with Carlos recently. And Harsh has been a similar connect in the past, where he was looking forward to one of such services. So now Fathom Legal has had a very unique journey. To, to begin with, I had come from a litigation background. I did not know much about corporate laws, but I had a very keen interest in corporate law. Reason being, I was an entrepreneur even before becoming a lawyer. In my law school itself, I had kicked off a business. It was called Class Tutorials, where I was trying to coach more than 200 to 300 students from tier 2 and tier 3 cities to join mainstream law, and where I was tutoring them, my startup was tutoring them. We were churning mock tests day in and day out, and it would help a lot of businesses there. Um, then I wrote books. One was Center of Obligations.
Ishita,
Yeah,
your voice is, I believe, a little bit. Sometimes it is getting down. Like, can you like come close to the microphone?
I can use my headphones if that helps.
Yeah, that
That
would
was
be, I
good right
believe,
there.
better.
I think it's when you move your head back, then it.
Yeah, be closer to the.
So let me tie it this way. Is it better now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds good. Sounds really good. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So yeah, I was talking about my book. I had written with Central Law Publications Allahabad. It's been out in the market 4 years. It helped a lot of students, gain visibility about how to crack CLAT, etc. So, having said all that, having entrepreneurial background, I decided to kick off my own firm, and now we are the legal partners for for few of the top government agencies in India. One of them is Karnataka Digital Economy Mission, Gateway AI, many more to add on to it. So now we are also putting our foot in the SME IPO sector, where we are going to help startups to raise funds through IPOs. So that's been the long and short of us. We are present in Delhi, Bangalore. We have a presence in US and in Dubai. That's
nice.
what we do.
Actually, I believe on our panel someone have a question for you. So for that, I'm quickly bringing up
Hey,
Sanjay.
yeah, Ishita, that's an incredible journey, and yeah, it's really amazing. So you mentioned about like you are working with startups. So I just wanted to know like what do you enjoy most about working with startup and entrepreneurs?
Okay. So when I work with entrepreneurs, it is very nice to see that they have such awesome ideas. Their eyes are beaming with hope.
Okay.
That
So like
they are the next Einstein, and they've made it big. They've cracked the gap. They know they've reached there. Okay, nice.
okay.
Nice.
So
But when I come in as an expert and I start pointing out the loopholes and I see the dreams shackling down, sometimes it is. I mean, I enjoy there as a part that now I have my expertise where I can point out the right direction, but they do not realize it, and they get to know it through me. So the kind of energies that are getting exchanged to me, the kind of motivation these people have, it keeps me fueled. It keeps me very high on my toes, and it also helps me, stay motivated all the time. I just love
uh,
what I
so
do.
would you like to share some of your memorable experience or case related to those entrepreneurs that excites you a lot and you remember it still now?
So when you're talking about, asking about cases, you need to understand that things have gone south. Number one. Okay, so are you
Okay.
actually enjoying it? What enjoys me is the more the complex the case, the more challenging it is. That's what enjoys me. That's what I like doing. So that's what gives me a kick. So what enjoys the enjoyment that I derive from these cases is not what they like to do, but that is one thing. So recently, in one of the case, what happened was this two people, they met in a networking event in India. Okay,
Okay.
they were into robotics. They were creating robotic suits. A very famous company. One of the very famous cricketers is the brand ambassador of that company. It's a very big.
Hmm.
So they met and they created one of the founders, Mr. X, had created the technology, and he needed a Y partner to get on to the sales of the product.
Hmm.
So Mr. X, with all his wisdom, created the best technology, created the, got the suit designs and got the suits ready to go to the market. And then Mr. X got hold of Y and he said, okay, you seem to be a very nice man. I think we have a good gel. Our temperament matches. We are good companions, it seems. So let's get to the business. And you handle India operations while I go to US and talk to VCs and get more funding for the company.
Hmm.
What he
Okay.
did was he moved to US and he created a subsidiary in India. That subsidiary was supposed to just do sales, and the
Hmm.
US entity was supposed to bring in more funds. So this
Hmm.
gentleman in India got to know, Mr. Y got to know that Mr. X is a
Uh, Ishita, I believe that it will be a good idea to switch to headphones. No,
Okay.
actually, the thing is, I was being harsh here, but the first rule of communication, the message should go through clearly.
You're being
Hmm.
harsh.
Exactly.
You're being harsh. You're always
I am
harsh.
born harsh.
Harsh is always harsh. I mean, you can't help it, brother. That's that's your
Default.
no. Harsh is never
Um, by the way, just to let you guys know, I named myself.
what?
Yeah,
What do you
like
mean?
Harsh is a name chosen by me for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
so before you were born, you decided that you're going to be harsh.
Oh no no no
That's
no.
pretty
After
cool.
I
That's
born,
pretty great.
everybody had different ideas for my name, and I told them fuck you or fuck to all of you
Yeah, you told your
because
parents.
I don't like any one of those names. Harsh is much more cooler.
I like it. You told your parents this is what you're going to name me, and they did, and that's
They had no choice.
Yeah.
if you're a lawyer, that's some good negotiation. Unfortunately, I didn't choose my name. I was stuck with Carlos, which is the Juan of or the John of South America. There's a million Carloses in South
Hmm.
America. Carlos.
Yep.
Okay.
By the
So
way,
how much better,
one of
Ishita?
our
Yes.
You're coming in way 5 by 5, as they say in the military. So signal strength and clarity.
Awesome. So, am I audible now, Harsh?
yes,
Does
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah.
Much better.
Now it's more good. Yeah.
okay? Yeah. So, should I like continue my story, or do we have another question?
Well,
Since the
What
pattern is broken, you can start from the main juicy part. Is like what are the like basic foundation looks like for someone is starting a startup and should take those things in to really consideration and not sleep on them.
Yeah.
before you
So,
start, before you start, what is your favorite color?
I love black.
What, excuse me?
It's black.
It's
Black?
black.
Really? Is that your favorite color? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Mine's purple, but
Awesome.
very,
Okay.
very cool.
Okay. So
Okay, back
Yash,
to the
that was
topic.
a
Yeah.
very good question. I mean, so the story that I was telling you, I'll just cut it short. I'm a good storyteller. Let me show you my skills. Okay. I'll just
Okay.
cut it short. Reason being that that would help a lot of people understand that why the basics are important to establish. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, uh, what Y did in India was he realized that X is a genius. He understands code, he understands product, but he does not understand how to run a business. But Y in India understands how to run a business. So he took the benefit of it and he started raising invoices in India and he started keeping it with him. And then but for raising funds, he started raising debts in the other country in the other company, but he started getting invoices for deliverables in this company. Over the period of time, what happened was the other company was loaded with debt. This company was fully trimmed up with a lot of funds, and there was no agreement or co-founder agreement of anything sorts between the two founders. Now, one fine day, this guy says that we have to apply for loan, and you need to transfer your equity to my wife's name so that she can be the co-applicant in the loan application. Because you are sitting in US, so the bank will not give us a loan. So you get the equity right now. Once we get the loan, we will return the equity to you. The moment he got the equity, he says, now to hell with you all. This company is mine. That debt is yours. Now live with it. Okay, the entire game was completely changed. And that debt was somewhere to the tune of 8.5 CR. And later on, we get to know that the second and the third Indian entities have been completely non-compliant. The employees have not been paid for over of 6 years, right? There have been ESOP violation. There have been ESIC's violation. So now, why do all these things happen? These things happen because people take laws and compliance very lightly. They feel that, okay, he's my best friend. Nothing will ever go wrong. Why do I need an agreement for it? Yeah. But an agreement is not for the good times. And bad times never come announced. They always come unannounced. Okay. And in life also, why do we take health insurance? Why do we take car insurance? Why do we even need it? Who told you that you're going to fall sick? Why are you even believing it? Right? It's in a similar manner that these precautions have to be taken for your company. A company is a separate legal entity in the eyes of the law, and that company needs to have its own paper set and documentation. Like you have your Aadhaar card, PAN card, driver's license, etc. Right? You have your degrees which establish your credit worthiness. In a similar manner, these companies need to have a particular set of documents laid down. So key factors while establishing a new company is understanding that the founders and the co-founder relationship has to get established in an agreement. Number one, all your IP has to remain protected, irrespective of the size and length of your agency or the company that you are functioning in. Okay, you should always protect your IPs, preferably in the name of the company, so that it increases the overall value of your company. Right. Always have the risk disclosure policies very well displayed on your websites. Make sure that the users that are going to use your terms and service are aware that what are they subscribing for. They shouldn't have any surprises in future because that would bring down your reputation. So on the preliminary service, this is what I would like to tell to whoever is listening.
Definitely.
Okay. So do you think like it's kind of lack of mandatory education in terms of laws that they should get? So suppose in the maths, science, or even
I
history,
agree.
economics, they are kind of basic subjects that everyone been taught. And personally to me, like history is the subject that I have never taken interest of. It seems useful to me. I don't know the benefits of it, but I think like it maybe it's the lack of mandatory education is not given to them on these
So
days.
that is so very well pointed out. You have actually pinpointed it to the extent that at this point of time, when I'm talking to startup founders or even MSMEs, they don't know what to do. They are ready to pay the money, but they don't know what to do. They don't even know what services they want from their attorney, which is very surprising. So a part of my deliverables also includes educating them about, what is the law, what applies to your company, what applies to your sector, what applies to your industry, and therefore you should take this. I need to substantiate it, which unlike a doctor or an engineer would not be doing it, right? But we have to first educate and then part with the service. So when you talk about education, we are taught in the school. When I remember studying political science, they taught about in the name of law, they taught about Raj Sabha, Lok Sabha, Vidhan Sabha, and
So that
and
we vote them.
yeah, and they also told about the structure of the judiciary, which was the High Court and the Supreme Court. And then we were taught about EVS, that were the environmental laws and studies, where they spoke about then also they didn't teach us any laws. They told us what is biodegradable, non-biodegradable law. So yeah.
You
There
know,
hasn't been
Okay.
much. Yeah.
when we talk about these sabhas, we also talk about proposition, and I have one. How about we call our next live stream Harsh Ki Sabha?
Oh,
Hmm.
wow. Okay, so with that, like, do you think like there's a big knowledge gap, and people pay for the services either for the knowledge gap or either for the things they don't want to do? So in the law things, I think they don't have the knowledge. So do you think like it's like structured and engineered, already in the education system? Okay, like you are not like the people who are going to, in their upbringing, they're not going to learn these important things specifically. Do you think like it's happened that way,
See,
or
laws
like
are
it's a
very
coincidence?
laws are very subject matter specific. Okay, when I've done a 5 years course in law, and I've been taught 48 laws, which means I have studied 48 bare acts. But there are more than maybe 200 or 300 laws. Even in my 5 years of course, I could not complete all the laws. So if you want anybody to have an understanding of law, it cannot be taught in school for sure. Okay, number
Hmm.
one. And not everybody needs to know the corporate law, because not everybody is going to be an entrepreneur, right? Not everybody
Hmm.
needs to know the ESIC and EPF laws, because not everybody is going to be an employee as well. Okay, so
Hmm.
there are
Exactly, makes
certain
sense.
so there are certain things
Yeah.
just to be left to certain people to read, understand, and
Hmm.
interpret, because it is being taught universally. Also, not everybody will be able to grasp it, because
Hmm.
it is the entire subject matter is very jargonish. It has a lot of
Hmm.
legalese involved in it. There are a lot of big jargons, and we've been trained to understand, read, and write them in a particular manner
Hmm.
so that
Yeah,
you be able to
I think
understand.
it should be kind of a mandatory thing to, whenever starting a startup, consult with a lawyer first who have the knowledge.
That's a
Yeah.
basic. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you mind
Carlos,
if
you were
do
saying
you mind
something. Yeah.
do you mind if I share a graphic that I think will highlight the point that Ashita is making? And let me see if I can share it. I don't know if it's going to find my right window or not. Let's see. Apologies for that. I'm not used to this user interface and the sharing. I understand. Don't show me this warning again. And how do I share my entire screen too? Okay, let's see that. Okay. This is something that I try to point out. I don't know if you guys can see my screen. That's an iceberg. And you see the part that says business and marketing? That's the part that Ishita does, and that's the most important part of any business. Intellectual property is important, but without having the business and the marketing, it's worthless. And in
Correct.
fact, lots of companies don't even have intellectual property. They have, like restaurants and things like that. They may have, marketing and some trademarks, but the business and marketing is where I see, I'd say 90% of the startups I've ever worked with fail. And that's the execution, the corporate stuff that Ishita is talking about. I just want to point that out. Thank you, Ishita. I 100% agree with you that most startups don't know, what they're getting into. One of the problems that I've seen in both U.S. schools and schools abroad is that the business people are not being taught intellectual property, like the basics of intellectual property. And I know you talked about it. I know you understand it. We've had some discussions, but it is a shortcoming in many of the business schools throughout the world that you've got people that are advising startups, technology startups that don't understand even the basics of intellectual property. And I think it's important. I know Ashita understands that and she appreciates that. Thank you.
Yeah. That was very relevant, Carlos. Thank you for pointing it out for all of us.
Definitely. By the way, about the screen stuck problem, I believe it's a bug from Talk Studio, because whenever I'm putting the screen in this format, nobody is lagging.
Did that
Okay.
cause a bunch of when I popped up the
Yes, you're
screen?
on mute.
Yeah, I feel so. Yeah, you're right. Okay,
Yeah.
so
So
we have
those are a few of
covered.
the
Yeah,
relevant
go
things.
on. Yeah, so we
No,
have
no, no.
covered this
Yes, you
important
can
point.
briefly.
Okay. Yeah, so we have covered this important point, and so let's take questions from the our speaker panels, the specific questions or something they remember in their lifetime that they think they should ask here right now, because that's the best point to ask right now. We have Ishita here, so do not hesitate.
Yeah, I mean, you all are maybe working in a company or have something legal going on in your mind, or maybe a property dispute at your house. Go on, ask me anything. This is a free legal advice session. I'm going to help you with whatever you have.
Wait,
Okay.
wait. How much
Um,
money are they saving right now between if we put our billable rates together? Right now, I'm kidding. No, the legal advice, right? I mean, our time is,
Yeah,
the attorney.
okay.
The attorney is the most
Good,
expensive
good
part of the
to,
process. You guys realize that,
absolutely.
right? Like you're looking at the most expensive part of patents or building a company. It's the lawyers, right? We are,
That's why they
we are.
never hire us, and then they end up in a mess, and then they'll come to fix it.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
mentality in India, at least. Yeah,
Yes, it is.
that's how it
And
works
we
in
need
India.
when they need us, then they need us, right? But before that, they're like lawyers are horrible. We don't need lawyers. We're going to do it on our
Yeah.
own until there's a problem, like you mentioned, two subsidiaries where the rights weren't spelled out as who owns what and where the profit goes. These sort of things
Yeah.
happen all the time because people don't take the time to have an attorney write up a contract that specifies the relationship of the parties, who owns the IP, where is the IP going to go. They just start sort of working together, and all of a sudden they have to hire Ashita down the road, and then it costs 10 times as much because you
Absolutely.
got
It's my time now. It's my time. When you're in a mess, it's my time. I will charge whatever I want and you will pay. So it
yeah,
becomes easy for me then.
there's a saying, there's a saying that a half an hour on the front end costs you 10 hours on the back end. So on the front end, you'll
Absolutely.
say, I'm going to cut these corners, I'm going to save the money. And then that time that you saved on the back end when there's a problem, it's going to cost you 10 times as much. Guaranteed. Thank you. Sorry about that.
okay.
Yeah.
Um,
So Amor, I
good to
have a
meet you.
question.
Good to meet you, Ishita. Can everyone can hear me? I believe. So
Yeah.
good to meet you. And you have nice hair, I should
Yeah,
say.
she
Thank
does.
you.
Okay, so first of all, I wanted to ask because law is something I'm quite interested in. Do you like practice corporate law just specifically to your country, or do you? Because I know like corporate laws differ, right, from both internationally and locally, like countries. So, do you practice internationally or just your country? First of all,
Okay. So thank you for pointing that out, Amor. So I do practice in other jurisdictions as well, apart from India. We practice in Middle
okay.
East, Singapore, US, and EU.
Great. Okay, great,
Yeah.
great. Because in my country, right, we everything that has to do with corporate law comes under what is called CAMA, right? Corporate Allied Matters Act.
Okay. You're from which
And
country, if I may ask?
I'm from Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria.
You're from Nigeria. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm not a law student. I don't practice law in any form or any way. But
Understood.
I have read that act cover to cover.
Awesome.
Yeah, because it interests me, right? And I would have loved to know like how that story between like those two parties ended, because we see many of those kind of stuff where people sort of miss their way or misunderstand the importance of an attorney in like maybe building a startup company, right? Because a lot of these kind of things happen. In fact, I almost became a victim of something like this, right? When um I I uh, I was involved in a startup, right? And good enough, I had most of my IPs, uh, settled already, right? Or else, if I did not have that exposure, I would have been a victim.
So like when you say this is like very important, and somehow because we're like engineers, like you say, most companies start with friends and they just come together, they want to build stuff and they're more interested in like building things, right? And then things begin to get so big that it's beyond sometimes even how they thought it was going to be, right? And now there is need for border lines on how each party interacts with the other, but all these things were not sorted out at first, and now there's a clash of interest, who gets what, and troubles begin to pop up. And so like I just want to add that kudos to whatever you're doing like in corporate law. I have a lot of questions to ask you, but it seems like you don't practice that way here in Africa, so our laws might be a whole lot different.
See, Amor, you've asked three questions in your entire, uh, you know, I won't call it a speech, but whatever you in your entire dialogue. Uh, I'll start from the last one. I would like to say that, in our law schools, we are taught to interpret laws. Okay. And it
Okay.
is not limited to any specific jurisdiction. If you know how to read the law and interpret the law, you can practice anywhere and everywhere, just that you need a license. As a
Yeah.
practicing corporate lawyer, the corporate law does not mandate me to have a license in every country. For the part that I need a license, I get in touch with people like Carlos and they get my
Oh,
work done in the other jurisdiction. Okay.
okay.
As
I
far as
see.
the strategy part is concerned, that's what we've been doing. So I work as a brain for most of the deals, and our
Hmm.
firm works as the brain. And with the execution part, the paperwork part, the filing part, we hire onshore party in the respective country, and we get that executed from them. So it saves a
Oh,
lot of time and cost for my clients as well.
yeah, makes a lot of sense now. Makes a lot of sense now. Thank you.
Uh, yeah. Number two, you asked me that how did that dispute end between the two parties? Let me tell you all, it has not ended and it will never end. Reason being that around 4.5 uh, CR crores of rupees has been gone, Indian rupees. And somehow the investors jumped into the between and they said that no, you cannot file any case in the court. Reason being, our money is stuck. And if any cases are filed, there will be a bad reputation that will be mulled out. And because of which we might lose our money totally. So the investors refused to file any case, and there wasn't any contract between the parties laying down any specific rights. So we couldn't opt for any mediation or arbitration as well. So it is in a deadlock situation, and the client is not willing to listen to my advice, and he has been reduced down to the level that he had to sell his cars in US. His kids have stopped going to school. He's on the verge of selling his house also in the US. And now he's been living on his old mother's pension, who lives in India.
Ouch.
Hmm.
Too bad.
Yeah, it's way too bad.
By
And
the way,
he has
Ishita,
lost it mentally completely. Yeah.
when did you start your practice?
2018, I mentioned.
2018. So since 2018, in how many countries did you have like served your clients?
Okay. I think it must be more than 9 countries.
9 countries. Nice. So,
Yeah.
what do you advise for a new startup when it comes to like, when a person or a bunch of people registers a new company, what kind of initial legal formalities they should do?
Once you
Good
have,
question.
I think Harsh, I have covered it, but I'll cover it more specifically here. A couple. So we have a startup starter pack here that we offer to all the startups. Okay, you can just close your eyes and take that, and it will cater to all your basic needs. Because over the years we've been advising the clients on the same thing. They come to us freshly incorporated and they don't know what to do. So, firstly, we understand their business, if it's a service sector or a product business, and then we draft a set of 9 to 10 documents and policies that apply. First is the co-founder agreement. Second is the employer-employee agreement. Third is the IP agreement. Okay, IP restraint agreement.
Hmm.
Then, if there are any interns, then there's an internship agreement. If there are any vendors, then there is service agreement. Okay, these are a couple of five agreements
Yeah.
that every firm or entity needs. Then, talking about the policies, you will have terms and conditions for sure. Then you need to have a privacy policy. How are you using the data? How you're protecting the data? How you're storing the data? How you're moving the data? All that has to be disclosed. Then there needs to be a grievance officer on that policy described. This is under the international and the national standards both. Now that we are reaching an age where we are trying to make everything coherent and constant globally. So India is also catching up with the global pace. So yeah, the privacy policy is must. Then we need to have a cookie policy, a refund policy. Uh, some services do not allow any refund, but that's not a good practice. It doesn't lay down a good image, and therefore people start losing trust. So we suggest on certain refund policies. Then if you're giving out ESOPs, for sure, if you're raising funds, you need to have a term sheet. You need to have an SHA. If there are convertible debenture shares or preferential shares, all that has to be covered. You need to lay down an ESOP policy. And the most important policy is the prevention of sexual harassment policy at workplace, which is also mandatory. And
Hmm.
it makes sure that your workplace is a happy place for everybody in your organization. And if anything goes wrong, there is a mechanism already laid down in your workplace. So these are good 10, 12 policies that you all should get started with.
Okay, slowly, AI is getting introduced in every sector. And with AI, there is a risk because it doesn't know the real limits so far. So when it comes to the privacy policy, there is a risk with AI that it can violate that. Even we program certain, even we if we program certain thresholds to avoid it, there is a risk there. So when it comes to that, what are the legal suggestions you can give to a startup?
Legal suggestions with respect to what? To use
With
of AI
respect to
in
the privacy
drafting?
policy.
No, Harsh, you'll have to restructure your question.
Okay. So suppose there is a AI model which discloses some information which should be private according to the privacy policy, and technically it's a technical glitch. So in that situation, what kind of consequences can
Oh,
happen?
so what you were saying is AI doesn't know its limits and it can, end up breaching at times. So, what would be the suggestion? Firstly, the privacy policy does not govern what information you are disclosing. It governs what information you are taking and how you're storing it and how you
Okay.
are keeping aside, okay, and how you're moving it. Number one,
Mhm.
if you're talking about a glitch that uh, uh, you end up releasing a sensitive data, a health data or a user data which is sensitive, um, it's going to be a big mess because AI doesn't have any accountability. The accountability would be on the business, on the company, and on the founders. And the penalties under the Indian Data Protection and Data Privacy Acts are huge. So it is advised that unless your AI is glitch proof, you have to be very careful on those fronts. And as and when it comes out, see, you cannot prevent it from happening because it has happened and it's a glitch. You cannot prevent it from happening. But once it has happened, there's always a redressal mechanism that you can put into place. Okay, so that's where a grievance officer comes in. That's where you put out a notice that this has happened and we are trying to control it, and put out an apology and definitely fix the bug and inform the people that okay, the particular data of these people has been compromised.
Also, in case of data breach, what are the organizations in India like a company should report?
I don't remember it on the top of my head.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else have a question?
Hey, so Ishita,
Question. Oh, go ahead,
yeah,
Carlos.
please, yeah, Carlos, please, you go on first.
Yeah, Ishita, I'm sure you run into this problem, and um, basically, when startups are using third-party services, for example, uh, Sanjay comes up with an idea, but he's not a software engineer, for example. I'm not saying this is a hypothetical. And then he hires Yash, who is a software engineer, to develop the product for him. What sort of, and I know you're smiling because this has happened so many times where somebody that knows nothing about technology hires somebody that knows something about technology, and next thing you know, there's a dispute with respect who owns the technology.
Technology,
And what would
yeah.
you advise, Nishita? And I know you know the answer because I know the answer also. In that situation, what is important when you're hiring third party contractors? What is important? And
So yeah, Carlos very well pointed out. But before I answer this question, I would also like to tell you that it doesn't happen just with the third party vendors. It also happens a lot of time with the CTOs, chief technology officers. I think they have the worst fate in India. Reason being, guys, what happens? How many of you are engineers here, or who do coding? Or I know Harsh, Abhinav, you also. Sanjay, what do you do?
Sanjay and Amor.
All
Yeah,
of
all
you.
of them.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm
So
even
what?
I'm into
you're, you're surrounded by engineers, Ishita.
Yeah, all the time. I'm
Yeah.
used to it now. So, what happens is these guys have good minds. They're good at coding. They will be able to develop a product pretty fast. They get into the CTO role. They will develop the product. They will, pick up a handsome package, draw handsome salaries, and after the product is ready, it has served a particular number of clients. The CEO and the chief business officers, the other CXOs do not see any vitality of this person anymore. They're like, why is this person in the organization still? Why is he still taking so much money from us? What do we need? Why do we need him? Because the entire maintenance is taken care of. A sub team has been created who now understands the entire product. The brain and the architecture has already been provided by the CTO, and his job is done now. So they will start raising disputes. They will start
Mm,
creating unnecessary disputes that you come late to office. Of course, he will come late
mm,
to office because he's got no work to do anymore. Okay, unless a major bug comes. Your attitude is not right. You're not contributing enough. What more can he contribute now after he's created the entire product? Right? After he set up the entire team. So CTOs, they get hit left, right, and center. And more so, they do not have any standard contracts with respect to their rights being protected. It becomes really horrible situation for them. I have literally rescued, I will use the word rescue. I have literally rescued CTOs who've been called out saying that they owe a debt to the company because of certain fundraise, etc. It's a complex story. But they ended up going out with more cash in hand rather than giving them back to the company. So that's a horrible situation. Now, talking about in case of third party, what happens is hiring a third party is okay. You can hire them, but your contracts have to be, see, the answers are in the documents. It's not in your relationships, it's not in your emails, it's not in your WhatsApp chat, and it's definitely not going to happen if that person is your family friend. It's definitely going to go wrong. Okay, so the all the answers are in the documents that are created. How watertight the documents are, how crystal clear the documents are. The IP should be assigned clearly. The IP should be defined clearly, and until what extent can that person enter into the competitive market, and after how many years, there should be a restraint that should be put on them, and only then can you protect your IP. I mean, I have done an opinion on this issue today morning. I've written an opinion on this, that so the CTO was again kicked out of the company, and now he wants to replicate the same code with the same use case in India. And he's like, this is my code. I was like,
Yeah.
don't marry the product. You did it for somebody else. It is not your anymore. You were paid for it. But they didn't pay me enough. I was like, that is what you negotiated for. So now he's so desperate to replicate the same code in the same use case, just a different jurisdiction. So I'm time and again I'm telling him that it's not possible. The contracts are very well done. It's not possible. But he's so anxious. He's like, find a loophole, find a loophole. From where should I find a loophole? So that's what happens when a good paperwork is done. You can actually protect your company.
And then, of course, in those situations, you get into trade secret violations because what happens,
Correct.
I've been in in litigations where, founder starts company A, and then he leaves company A and starts company B, and all of a sudden company A starts suing company B because they're competing in the same marketplace. And
Yeah.
it's a huge drawn out litigation. It's a trade secret violation. They're arguing that the founder left and took the trade secrets from company A and brought them to company B, and you get in this big, very expensive litigation trying to
Yeah.
determine, did he copy? Is it a new product? How much did he steal? And of course, having somebody like Ashita that writes the contract at the beginning properly is going to prevent those sort of nightmares on the back end, with trade secrets and that sort of stuff.
Carlos, I'll tell you the kind of situations that I have been in. Founder A and founder B working in the same company. Founder B decides to set up a separate entity with his wife while working in company A. Now,
Oh,
founder B starts taking clients' orders from founder A to to his own company,
to
and
his own
slowly,
wife, yeah.
yeah, and slowly starts building his parallel business in the same market. Okay, in the same use case, same industry, everything same. Now it's a clear case of operation and mismanagement under Section 52 of the Companies Act, and you are going in a heavy litigation for at least 3 years. 3 years gone. Now there's a dispute. You can't do your annual filings. The other co-founder is not going to sign on the income tax. He's not going to sign on the balance sheet. Of course, you don't have a co-founders agreement. So the timelines are not defined. The rules are not defined. The exits are not defined. It's a huge mess. Uh, so pro tip, which I often say to startup founders is understand that your relationship with your co-founder is like that of a marriage, and the company is your baby, and the entire setup is a sacrament. Okay, it is holy. So how you do everything to protect your family, right? You make sure that it doesn't fall apart in any sense. Will you leave? Will you just not get a insurance for your mother and get it for your father? Will you do that? Maybe in due course you will try to cover up everybody, right? So in a similar
Mm.
manner, you should keep your company in that facet only. It is that important because the company has been given the designation of a person under the eyes of law. Even the law is saying that it's a person, but we are not understanding that it's a person. It's a real living person who has a brain of its own. The board of directors are the brain of the company. The directors are the vein of the company, right?
Mm.
And the employees are the hands and legs of the company.
Mm.
That's all.
And that's a really
Oh,
good
such a
point.
good explanation.
What Ishita said is so true about being like a marriage. And I've seen, I'm not a corporate lawyer, but I've worked with enough startups to see these sort of issues that Ashita addresses with proper contracts. And it'll be, I always tell people that every contract can be litigated. A contract
Yeah.
is not a golden bullet that's going to save you. What is going to save you is making sure who you get in bed with is somebody that it's like a marriage, right? Are you going to get in bed with anybody just because they have
Yeah.
money? And the people that I've seen that start businesses just because of the money, at least in my own experience, 90% of them fail. I always say your business partner should be somebody you can have a drink with, somebody that appreciates you and you appreciate them, because that's going to outlive any litigation. If you get into business with somebody that you don't know, you haven't even, you're not friends or anything, the chances of it going bad, especially when money starts being made, when no money's being made, typically not an issue. But like Ashita said, as soon as the startup is making billions, and all of a sudden they're like, well, what is the CTO doing? Well, the CTO was the one that brought in the technology that made him the millions or the billions. And those sort of things, I think Ashita's making a wonderful point that these things have to be rock solid, but a relationship. Businesses are
Yeah,
nothing more.
businesses are run on relationships. It is run on references. References come from relationship. And like when you're dating somebody, what is the first thing that we see when you're dating anybody? Like we're all young here. If you're dating a
Yes,
girl,
no, I'm kidding.
If I am dating a girl,
huh, what's the first thing that you would see?
It's better I should not answer that question.
Then don't. So okay, let me only answer. We check for compatibility, right? We check the compatibility check. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
first thing that we all
Um,
do.
I think we most of the time we see like, can I trust this person for a longer period of
Trust
time?
this person. Yeah. And even in India, there's a concept of, getting the birth chart matched. Carlos, I'm telling you, the others would
Oh,
know
Kundali.
more. I'm telling you also.
yeah.
So we have our birth chart, which looks something like that of something similar
Yeah.
like that of the logo of Incubi, something on those lines. Okay. So there is this
Yes.
concept also. So again, the reason is to match the compatibility. In a similar manner, you need to know that you should have complementary skill sets with your co-founder. Suppose if your co-founder
Yeah.
is good at finance, then you should be good at marketing. Your co-founder is good at talking, then you should be good at dealing with your backend team. If your co-founder is
Hmm.
good at explaining things, then you should be good
Yeah.
at documenting things. So it should be very complementary.
By the
That's how
way,
you need to.
guys, before we move forward with this, we have a question from audience. Carlos, that's a cute dog you have. What's his name? By the way, it's a her, and she's our queen, Queen Athena.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
she want to jump on the live stream. I'm seeing her for so long.
she gets
Okay.
starts getting jealous when I've been talking too long and she hasn't gotten enough attention, and she probably needs to go to the bathroom. Is that what you want? Or she just wants attention? I don't know.
No, Athena can get the entire attention in the entire live stream. I don't mind.
Athena is a very special dog because she's a rescue.
Oh,
She came
wow.
from she came from a kill shelter in Texas. She was There's, I think, something like 9 puppies, and there's a rescue organization run by women that saves these type of dogs. They're called Belgian Malinois. They use them quite a bit in the military. And when I got her, she was crazy. Like, I've had Belgian Malinois before, but she was extra
Yeah.
special. I had her DNA done, and it turns out she's 52% Belgian. She's 18% German Shepherd. She's
Yeah.
16 Australian cattle dog and 14% pit bull. So this
Okay.
Oh.
dog is like,
Such a triple combination. Like she is trying her full 100% to get the attention since then.
I take her on a 6 mile hike and she gets home and she wants to run for another 3 hours. But anyways, enough about Athena. Let's get back to beautiful Ashita and her excellent knowledge of corporate. You know, it is the most important thing, and I'll tell you why. You can have a patent or intellectual property, but if you don't have the business and the marketing, nobody's going to see it. If you don't have the proper formation, all that stuff done, it's not going to matter.
Mhm.
So Ashita is going to be a very good friend of mine because every startup I run
You know,
into,
there was a
usually the
company.
problem is on her end. Defining the technology. I'm an engineer, not difficult. We know what a hardware specification is. We know what a software specification is. That's a patent. Take that, add some claims, you've got a patent. But the business and the marketing is really, really crucial, and that's where I see 90% of all startups fail. I was going to mention something about inventors getting screwed over by the
Mhm.
companies. I've worked with a lot of startups where the inventor ended up with 0.01% of their company and all of a sudden refused to sign anything. I've seen like patent portfolios like of 100 million die on the vine because the inventor got screwed over, the CTO. And the CTO finally said, you know what? I'm not signing anything. I don't care if you sue me. I don't care what happens. I'm going to burn it to the ground. And I've seen startups just, with $100 million patent portfolio, just the whole thing burned to the
Going to
ground.
drain. Yeah. Yeah.
And
By the way,
companies are,
Ishita, there
Hmm.
is a girl. Her name is Achal. She is also a corporate lawyer,
Okay.
and she is a part of our NQP group on X. And she have a
Okay.
question for us. Hey Ishita, is there any website or source that you generally use where one can easily access all the information related to any specific section or rules, along with the reason behind every okay,
Amendment
pronunciation
that has
gone. You go
That is
on
so true.
sideways.
Along with the reasons behind every amendment that has occurred, both current past amendments and the reasons truth behind such change. Achal, is there any website? I'm asking it to you.
Yeah, I
No, I
was
don't
like,
have.
she's asking for the ultimate granth that
She's
consists
asking the
all of
source
it.
of truth. She's asking what is
Yeah.
the source of truth. Achal, sorry. I wish we were so well defined. Are you guys something or working on something similar? Is it? Are you guys developing
Ac-
something on those lines? Then
Actually, I'm
go.
thinking we should work on that type of thing.
Yeah.
It will be
Yeah.
great.
Usually
Yeah.
that doesn't happen till litigation. After litigation, that's when you have discovery and all the emails come out and all the trash comes out. But before that, it's typically pretty well hidden under corporate structures.
Mhm.
I think most
You will
corporate
be one
structures,
soon. All the best.
Hmm.
not true.
Yeah, Achal is not officially a
Yeah,
corporate
I
lawyer.
responded to her.
Hmm. So, Ishita, do you think if such an website exists, like, would you want it to exist? Like, you would use it, or you would want to exist, or something like that?
Nah. I would
Okay.
always go to the source of truth, which is the law that the government prints, and that is the only source of truth. Like, if I want to
Hmm.
read a Bible or a Gita, I will not read any version of it because I want to know
Hmm.
the source. So I will
Yeah.
go to that book only. So
Hmm.
any version that you're putting it out, it can help people, those who are not from my industry, but people from my industry, we are trained to read the law and we will definitely go back to the law. But it might
Yeah.
Hmm.
interest you people. Oh, all information in one place. Very nice, very nice. No, not me.
There is a thing. There is a team building exercise, and I do practice it all the time, where you line up a bunch of people, almost 10 to 20 peoples in a row, and
Hmm.
one person have to say the same thing to the other person.
Hmm.
Okay, but here is the twist, that each time, every time when we try that, whatever the first person said and whatever the last person said, it doesn't match at all. Like the
Yeah.
difference is
The
moon and
version
earth.
changes, right? The version
Yeah.
changes. I want to
So
talk so much here, but I will control myself.
Hmm. So,
so
like, why do you use that exercise? What's the significance?
Harsh is asking you,
um
why do you?
I
we do
I
that
think it's
exercise,
because
but like with time, when you repeat that exercise with a bunch of people, no, then our wavelength start aligning. So we don't put our versions there, we put the same version because it's needed in teamwork. Because if everyone will start putting those their own versions in the project, then it will never finish.
Hmm.
Amor, you were saying something.
okay. I just wanted to add like it'll always be good to like just go back to the original sources like the constitution or the law. Because just like what Harsh said, when one information goes from one source to another source, it
It
begins to
dilutes. It
exactly
begins
it
to
begins
dilute.
dilutes
Yeah.
basically. Words begin to be substituted for synonyms that do not hold as much power as the original words, and those kind of stuff happen.
That's right.
Definitely.
That's right, my friend.
So
By the
that
way,
word team, like TEAM, you can also look it as like, when building a team, you are
Mate.
looking. Uh-huh. No, no, like
Sorry,
not.
I talked about a palindrome.
Yeah, but just breaking down the team word. I just learned recently about it. It's like when building a team, look for T for time you don't have, E for experience you don't have, A for
Okay.
assets you don't have, and money, M for money you don't have. So,
Awesome.
when you're building team, if you don't have money, you have someone in the team who can invest money. And for same for
nice.
the T, and for the E for the experience, and A for the assets. So yeah, that's it.
So guys, all of
Before
you are, all of us are dream. Okay. So all of our time, experience, assets, and money belong to each other.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. What else
Carlos.
should I talk about?
Amazing.
Anything else?
So
Okay.
I think we have
Yeah.
covered everything. We can move to the questions before we wrap up, and then we'll move to the last thoughts, and that
Sunday.
way we can. Yes,
Okay.
let's go to
So
Sanjay. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Ishita, you know that technology is moving so fast, and many large language models are out there in the market. If you type any of your legal questions, they usually give some answers. Okay, so what's your view on that? Is it like okay to go with them, or it's always a flaw?
See,
And the
huh.
and the technologies like the technologies which are coming now. So do you really see like I mean, I want to ask that how this technology is changing the legal profession. Is there any changes? Or, like your viewpoint on
So
this?
recently I was a part of AI Geeks conference in Bangalore, and I was the only lawyer there. Again, I was surrounded by all engineers,
Okay.
and so I had the. So I just pointed out on this very specific question that you asked, Sanjay, that number one, large learning models are good, large language models are good, but what is going to solve our problem is small language models. Okay, we will get specific responses and specific execution. Okay, number one. Number two is the the second thing that I told, that there are no specific technologies that are helping us lawyers to ease down our work or our burden. Apart from the research part, there is no rampant change which is being brought in our industry. Okay, designers might run out, editors, copywriters might run out of work. Okay, and coders might run out of work at some point of time. Their only work might be to remain checking the code which the GPTs of the world have written. But a lawyer doesn't just reproduces something which is already available. It churns out and gives solutions to concrete problems from their past experiences. I understand that AI has experiences, but not every use case can be imagined by an AI unless it has been fed into it. And data is crap. Data everywhere is crap. We don't have good data. So what we feed to the AI has to be something which has to be very polished. So unless we reach that level, uh, we are not, at least my industry is not getting directly affected. And I would like to appeal to all the engineers listening to this, please work on us. We are very accommodative, we are very learned. By learned I mean we read a lot, we understand very easily, and we are easy to adapt to new technologies. So we are open to new inventions into our domain, and we would love to adopt them. So as of now, we only have in Supreme Court of India, Carlos, you'll see that there's a screen in a vertical shape. It has a man who's dressed as a lawyer, and you can ask him questions, and he gives answers that according to Section 21, Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. That's all. That's the only technology we have so far.
Okay.
Few minutes ago we were talking about innovators getting screwed by the management. Okay, and it is something I have experienced.
Yeah.
So in 2019 to 2000, a period of 2019 to 2021, I had co-founded a company, and I will not name that company because of some restraints. I cannot take the name. It was based on Delhi, and initially we started working on penile imagery detection. And once the money started flowing in, my vision was to create something like far superior than whatever I had created there. But then later on, they suddenly the board, like the management comes along with the investors, and they're like, we need more experienced CEO. And I tried to work with them. I even after all that, but after a point of time, I was like, screw you. I am leaving here. Because the thing is, it's not even sometimes for an innovator, it's not so about money, or sometimes it's not about what position I am getting, but if I'm free to innovate or not. Freedom is the biggest
Asset that we
A
want to
set
keep
of
with us.
innovator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. And we know that once we've created, we will create 10 times again and 10 times more better. So, yes, to screw you is the only option at that point of time.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
I basically at that time, and like it is not very professional for me to say, but the new CEO, he was just pissing me off in the office. I had a great punch on his face, and then I just left from the lift. Never went back there.
if I could comment on AI, um,
Mhm.
you know, technology is God's gift to patent attorneys. You
Hmm.
know, so like whenever there's new technology, everything starts. Oh my God, what do we do with copyright? Like when streaming started, right? The movie industry said this is going to be the end of movies. Nobody's ever going to do anything. We survived. They're screaming the same thing about AI. AI is going to ruin, the landscape or whatever. We're going to adapt. Copyright laws and all those laws are going to adapt to the AI. Myself having a background in AI, I look at it as a tool, and this is something that I say: AI will amplify stupidity just as much as it will amplify intelligence. If
I
you're
agree.
if you're an
Hmm.
expert like Ashita or
Yeah.
myself in our field, we can use AI to make certain things of our practice more efficient. But right now the AI isn't at the level yet to handle. Like right now, I use it for describing drawings, for example. It's very good. If I give it
Yeah.
formal drawings, it says the computer A, the computer 10 is connected to the computer 20 over communications network 30. The AI and the AI knows the background of the invention. It does a really good job describing the drawing because it doesn't require logic and thinking. It just requires the neck bone is connected to the thigh bone. It's very rudimentary. Now, when you
Mhm.
start asking it to write claims, it's at about I'd say it's still at a very low level. Like I'm talking like somebody like not even in law school when it comes to like more difficult things like claim drafting, for example. It does help. Like it'll give me like a framework that I can work off, but it's not quite there yet. So
Mhm.
the what I like to tell people is the people that don't embrace technology, it doesn't matter what your field is, you're going to be left behind. You're going to be left behind.
Mhm.
And there's certain jobs that if you're in a job that's easily replaceable by technology, you should be looking upstream. What how can I improve my education to move upstream? AI
That's
has
a
made my job as a patent attorney way more enjoyable because I hate writing freaking this is connected to that, like I know Ashita, you've read patent applications, the drudgery of describing in excruciating detail a very, very boring drawing. you know I, I pass that off to my inventors. The main reason I don't like doing it, it's super, super boring, not creative, and the AI now can take over that super, super boring, not creative task,
Yeah.
which has made me enjoy patent drafting again. And the benefit that my clients get is that now I'm not charging them for 10 hours of my time that, by the way, I hated doing anyways. In other words, I'm like an ADHD type person. Like money isn't enough incentive for me. Like, doing boring work, if it's boring, I don't care how much you pay me. I don't want to do it. And the AI has been very good at alleviating that sort of the boring tasks where now I can focus. What should you say? What's the strategy in the drafting? The stuff that requires right now our mental capacity and that the AI cannot fulfill yet. So I know people like Ashita and myself, we're going to keep swimming upstream. We won't be replaced. Famous last words, by the way.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's a very accurate point, Carlos. The AI is just a tool, and it totally depends on the other person that how that person is going to use it. For some people, it's just for writing emails, just for drafting a tweet. For some people, it's just AI generation. But when I always tell everyone in this, like literally everyone I have told that people have not seen the true power of AI. The reason is There is not just one way to create AI. Like in industry, people have bias, like matrix multiplication and activation functions. Those are the only way to create a neural network. Not true. Like dot sum, and there are many multiple methods. You have to go to the history, the core of the truth, like Ishita said, to know the actual potential of it. Okay, because the talk on AI is not here. It's coming from 18th century. Okay, so and man have always tried to replicate himself. So we have to look at all those things to actually get the true potential of a machine. And not every solution is like one. There is no one solution for every problem. Every problem have a separate solution. And for one, like it's like a pin. You can use that pin to put a paper on the wall. You can use that pin to clip papers together. You can use that pin to pop a balloon, and you can also put that pin in the water.
Mhm.
And after one day, when it is rusty, you can pop it into a person, and now that person have to get treated for tetanus.
Mhm.
So one simple pin can be turned into a death machine. So the AI
Mhm.
is also like that. It's totally depend on the person who is operating it, and that's the real smartness. But now we will get back to the corporate. Ishita,
Good.
you're mute.
Sorry. So I was saying that I think we've covered pretty much everything unless anybody else has any questions. And else I'd like
Yeah.
to conclude.
Okay. So yeah, if anyone have their questions, please raise up. And meanwhile, we are going to wrap up the live stream now. So if not, we can move to the last thoughts. So
Mhm.
over to you, Harsh.
I have an
uh,
important question for
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah. Let's go to Carlos.
It's a big question, by the way. It has nothing to do with the broadcast. In your opinion, what is the meaning of life?
What
In
is the
one sentence, the meaning of life. What is the meaning of life?
Okay.
to know yourself.
Okay, that's a good one.
Over to you,
Anybody else?
Ishita.
okay? It's me. Okay,
Yeah.
so in Hinduism, there's a concept of moksha.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So for me, my meaning of life is to attain moksha and to serve the
Hmm.
God. Whatever activities I'm doing should be uh,
Okay.
given to the God. Yeah.
Love that. I'll give you my definition that I've come up on my own: to be a kind, gentle, loving, and compassionate human to everything around me. That's my meaning of life.
Yeah. I say for me, like it's like one word. In one word, I can say impact or change. If I can choose, if I have to choose one of them, I will choose change. Okay. Because change can make an impact, but make sure to do a positive change. Yeah. So that was mine. So over to you, Amor, Abhinav, Sanjay, please. Yeah.
For me, I'm from also in those scriptures, that is dharma, the thing that we are born to do, the duties we have. And I feel like this is the right way to be in moksha.
Mhm.
Yeah, for me, it's like finding a purpose and seeking happiness.
Finding the purpose. Like it's a something, the destination or a train or a bus that we are trying to
No, no, what I feel like is life is a journey, and until unless you find your purpose, keep enjoying your journey, find the happiness, keep
what
it
if
that.
like someone, like whole life is all gone and they didn't get to that thing. Then what?
Imagine.
Like they didn't feel
There are
okay,
so
I found
many.
my purpose.
There's so
And
many who
purpose
just come and
change.
go without finding any purpose.
Yeah, and also purpose change according to situations.
Yes, it's like very life to life basis. So when you bring up, like you go to school, the only purpose you have, the parents tell you, get good marks. That's the purpose at that life. And when you get married, the only purpose you have, provide good to your home and family. And when you get old, what's your purpose? Like it's very subjective to people to people. So
That's
yeah.
that's the point. You need to find what your true purpose is. That is what I'm
Yeah,
saying. First one is your family put you in a purpose.
Hmm.
Second, the conditions puts you through a purpose. But
yeah.
ultimately, you
I
need to
apologize
figure it
for
out.
derailing the
Okay,
whole.
but we can continue the discussion upon it. But I would like to know about what are more things.
Yeah. Over to you more.
Okay, so uh, I have a Christian worldview. I'm a Christian, and so the meaning of life for me is to love the Lord with all my heart and all my soul, and to love my neighbor as I love myself. On these two things hang every other thing in the balance of life. Love the Lord and love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Definitely.
Awesome.
We have a question from audience. Sonny Savage asks, I have a question. What would you say if a safe business arrangements to build
Mhm.
in order to get into a partnership when you are trying to co-found a company?
I think it would take a separate consultation call because this is a very custom requirement.
So, Sonny,
By the way,
Like
I've
this is
answered
happening.
this. I have
Yeah.
answered this, Sony. It is there in the audio.
yeah, so watch the live stream again
Again.
and increase my views.
And
And
watch
the watch
others.
time.
Also, Sonny
One more
Savage
I'm
question.
again says,
going to
also,
give a hint. Contract.
and Sonny Savage says, the meaning of life
Hmm.
to me is to live a life that puts you on a journey in which you get to discover the best version of yourself, and the people around are better off after knowing.
I love that.
Okay.
Yeah. So with
Okay.
that, I believe Sony says that he will do that. Definitely,
Mhm.
brother. Increase our watch hours. So with that, we will move now. We will move to our closing thoughts. So we will start today. We will start with Amur.
Okay, so thank you so much. This session was really enlightening, personally. Uh, Thank you so much. And I'll live with this, right? Thinking about law, business, and the fact that we have to deal with people, right? Laws are made to guide our interactions with people, right? But
Absolutely.
laws are in themselves very much subjective to how a person interprets them. Yes, there is a wrong way, but
Hmm.
a smart lawyer can always take a law, take look at the grammar and make it into something, or contracts. Let me use it. Let me say contracts, not law. And so, at the baseline of it, it comes to the fact that the greatest law there is that guides human interaction is not the constitution written by any nation, but the conscience. That inner ability to know that what I am doing to the next person, right? I shouldn't do it. This is right. This is wrong. And so, uh, as we do, business startups, uh, co-founding, startups, it is very important that we are dealing with people who, after all the contracts are done, just like Carlos said, people we can leave our drinks open and go take a call and be sure that we're not in trouble. And if we are not dealing with those kind of people, no matter how much of contracts we have, no matter how much of laws we have, we will always run into error. That is just what stands out for me. Like laws are there, but it boils down to human beings.
We will move to Carlos now.
You know,
भाई
I
अक्कड़
hate to,
बक्कड़ चल रहे हैं. Okay, go
you
on, go on.
like when people ask me what is the rule in real estate, location. You've heard that before, right? What is the rule in patents? Technology, technology, technology. What is the rule in business? I would say good contracts, good contracts, good contracts. And I hate to break it down so simply, but you know, I'm an engineer. I try to make one or zero stuff, which isn't really the best way to analyze stuff, but that's the way my dumb brain works. Thank you.
Sanjay.
Okay, thank you, Ishita, for sharing so much insights. And yeah, I would say like I'm an engineer, but I have no idea about this law structures. And yeah, now I need to look forward to it. And my biggest, like I want to say to my viewers that it is really important. I should use the word critical actually for a startup to prioritize legal structures and contracts early to avoid costly mistakes. And if you fail in the mess, Ishita is there.
Yes.
Thank
Ishita
you.
is our savior. Abhinav.
So, you know that before a game, you should know the rules better to play game well. And the whole thing come in my mind. She is the person, and lawyers are those person who know those rules, and they know how to play well with those rules.
Mhm.
So that's my thought. If you need, if you want to play better legally, then you need a lawyer, or at least advice of lawyer and knowledge of these kind of things.
Yeah, like the crickets, you have multiple coaches, so you should have an attorney
Yes.
with you.
And with that, I will speak that, uh, you know, your founder is your co-founder is your it's is like a wife, okay, and your teammates is like a family. And here we all, and even the people who are in the audience, we are family. And with that thought, over to you, Ishita.
I would like to listen from Yash also first.
Yeah,
Oh,
we will come
actually,
to that.
I did the akkad bakkad, so you came first. So, but okay,
Yeah,
yes.
it's the part of the okay. So if you want from me is like the the key takeaways are like, whenever you're starting something, be transparent with your intentions. Okay, like if, like, even if you legitimately want the vision to grow, and even before it, like, whenever I sit to a person, even when I join a team, or I hire someone, or I work with someone, I look at the vision, like, what's the vision looks like for them. Okay, and I see my vision. If it's not aligning well,
Not aligning.
then it doesn't make sense to work together. Second is like, be transparent with your intentions. Okay, like, brother, this is what I am want to do, this with this. Okay, so that's the second thing. Third thing is like, build the trust, like, like Ishita said, the co-founder is like wife. So if you're kind of a person who's going to ditch the wife, then you shouldn't do it because there are very terrible consequences for that. And
Yes.
same in the business, if you're gonna ditch someone, so there are going to be terrible consequences
Yeah.
for that.
Be
So
prepared for the alimony.
That's
alimony
right.
is the
Yeah.
monetary part. There's some in monetary things are going to be on your head. You know, you don't know. Maybe if someone put the gun on your head. Okay, so guys, take care of that. And the last thing I would like to say, please learn. Look, every time we are doing the live stream, it's getting better and better. All right, so every time it's getting
Yeah.
more valuable, new insights and new things. So share it with your friends, share it with your mother and father and your family, because it's like, you can watch it with your family. And third thing is like, subscribe to it so that you can get the next notifications. And the last thing is like, if you think something we can improve, please put that into the comment section. We are open to the feedbacks. And yeah, that was my thoughts. Over to you, Ishita.
Mhm.
Uh, I would like to close down by letting people know that law is not something that has to be feared by, okay? Neither are the legal professionals. We are also humans like you all are. We also have a heart. a kind one maybe most of the time. Yes, we do become little immune to certain kind of situations, which we see pretty often every day in our life. But most of our clients only witness it one time in their life, but we see it often in every day. So that's why we get immune to it. But that doesn't mean that we are, we are rude, or we are people who are stone-hearted. We are nice people. Talk to us. Don't be scared, because that's one mentality that I've seen with Indian clients. Second thing that I want to tell is that law and business is intersectional. It goes hand in hand and it goes side by side. It doesn't come one after the other. Okay. It will not happen that when you end up in a mess and then you reach out to a legal professional. It goes hand in hand. And and
Then it's going
the
to be
reason
regrets only.
yeah, the legal professionals and the police, we are there to help you. uh, we are we are as the servants of the government, private servant. The lawyers are the private servants of the government, who know how the government works, who know how the trick of the trade. Yeah. And we are here to help you. And as the most important thing, what you can do as a founder is establish goodwill and ensure trust within your enterprise, within your company, within your co-founders, and in your employees. These are the two things that are going to take you to places, irrespective of whether you're doing good now or not. You will end up doing very well in future if you maintain integrity, discipline, goodwill, and trust. These are the four things that are going to take you a very long way. That's from my side. And
So, with
Okay, sounds good.
Ishita's last thoughts, I would, before closing this live stream, I would like to tell few things. Like, if anyone who is watching, if you think that this session could be helpful to anyone, please do share this session with them. We are definitely like trying to be omnipresent. We are live on X, Twitch, LinkedIn, YouTube, and we are obviously like lawyers are good people. We are also good, nice people. Okay, and when it comes to like we are planning, and also there is an announcement. We are planning a mega stream, and in that mega stream, every one of our previous speakers, and we are inviting every one of our previous speakers, and some of the new speakers will definitely join us.
Hmm.
We will definitely keep it when we will go up to like 15 lives. Right now we are at 10 officially, and then we will have a mega stream on everyone's account. So that was for today, and with that, bye everyone. See you next time.
bye bye.
That's a nice heart. You make a good heart.